Hi guys, and welcome to this week's Q&A session. So just waiting to get Graham into the hot seat, which is happening as we speak. Just before we kick on with it and we get Graham into the hot seat, hey Kate, can I just obviously just make sure that things are working? So we've got loud and clear. If you can just pop on and let me know loud and clear.
Graham's logging onto another computer as a user as well, as a listener.
Okay, is he logging on as a presenter?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey Harry, how are you? Good to have you on board. Hello Michael. So we're just waiting for Graham to pop on. Greg, goodness me. Onomatopoeia. Hey Joe, how you doing? All loud and clear. Awesome. Fantastic. So welcome guys. And in this week's Q&A, as I said to you in the Facebook post yesterday, we're sort of moving up, changing a little bit some of the things that we're doing. So we're going to run through a couple of things. Then we're going to get Graham to join us in the hot seat. We're going to talk about leadership and what leadership's meant to him. Morning, Ken, again, and what he's learned in his years as a leader. So we'll have that happening very shortly. Hey, in the meantime, there's a couple of things that I just wanted to raise with you. First of all, don't forget the intensive coming up on the 15th of November in Melbourne. If you haven't already registered for that, please make sure you do. We've just been working our sprint planner sheets on the wall. We've been working through preparing lots of really cool stuff for the intensive. So really looking forward to having you on board for that. Make sure that you jump on. We've got I know some of you have already registered, but please get on, register for the intensive. If you're coming from interstate, make sure you book the accommodation, get your flights nice and early, and get all things sorted out. Super excited about having you on board for that as well. So just waiting for GD to jump on. Entirely my fault. I sent him to the wrong webinar. So when he gets on, he's not running late because of him. He's actually running late because of me. One of the things that the reason I asked Graham to come on board to talk about leadership today is we run leadership sessions in Metropole every Tuesday. And one of the things that came out of the leadership session last Tuesday was conversations around what actually makes a good leader. And I think it's often really quite confusing for us as business owners and as heads of department as to what actually makes a good leader. And I was having a conversation with somebody this morning talking about how to be in a leadership position, you actually have to have the good and the bad. So I'll share the story. So they rang me and said, look, I've got this issue with somebody who is in a leadership position in my business, and I've asked them to take on a disciplinary role, and they don't want to do it. So they said, well, I don't want to, they're tough conversations. I don't want to do that. And the short answer is that as a leader, you kind of have to do both. You can't, it's like being in business. You can't just have all the profit and none of the losses. You can't have all of the good times and none of the rubbish times. So the whole idea of being in a leadership position is to help your leadership team to understand that they're going to have to deal with some disciplinary matters. They're going to deal with some tough issues as well as the good things. So it's the good times and the bad times. So I think that's a really vitally important thing to keep in mind when it comes to leadership. And I guess the other thing too is that leadership means lots of things to lots of different people. When we're talking about leadership in business, I like to think that it's about that you have the ability to show the way, that you have the ability to lead by example, you have the ability to inspire, all of those things but you can't stay at a high level. And we're going to talk to Graham about, some of the lessons that he's learned as a leader. And he's got a great quote that I really like. And it's actually what prompted me to get him on board. But you can't just take the good things and none of the bad things. But the other thing is you can't just lead at a high level. So leadership is, whilst it's about showing leadership, it's about showing the way, it's about leading by example. It's also about being able to get involved in the detail. And Michael, you'll know this is a conversation that you and I have had over the last few years. It is about the importance of being able to get into some detail. And Graham's just come online. So hello, mate. You are He's online. We just don't have him in the room yet. He's joined the room. Just bear with me for 1 second, guys, while we get this going. He's joined the room.
Yeah, click on his.
No, that doesn't work. Just bear with me for 30 seconds. Can you just quickly give him a call and tell him that he's joined the room, but I can't see him or hear him? That you understand as a leader that you don't just deal with things at a higher level. People are looking for you to set examples. People are looking for you to lead them, to make the tough decisions, to have the tough conversations, to share the good times as well as the bad times. But they're also looking for you to get into the detail and to understand, the nitty gritty of what's going on. So in other words, and it's saying that Michael's used on a number of occasions, you have to actually get your hands dirty. So whilst we're still waiting for Graham to resolve some technical issues, he's left the room, come back on the room. Just so you know, guys, we had, hi, Michael. Michael Zajac, I didn't see you there all the way from Saudi Arabia. Good to have you on board. What I haven't told you is, Graham and I just ran a dummy run this morning at about 10:45, and everything worked absolutely brilliantly. So we've ironed out all of our webinar jam issues that we had last week. Everything's working, absolutely Mickey Duck, and the dummy test that we ran worked absolutely brilliantly as well. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, he's just having some trouble. Here we go. He's joined the room, so hopefully we'll have him. There he is. Now, if he just turns his microphone and camera on, there he is. Hello, mate. I can't hear you though.
That's better.
There we go. Awesome. There we go.
Took a while, but I'm here. Sorry, guys.
Well, no, not your fault. I've explained it's absolutely not your fault. It's entirely mine. And for everybody online, there was a little lesson in how to improvise. All right, Graham. What I want to do, mate, is, if I can please, I just want to have a little chat about you, and maybe just a quick intro. So let's start this slide presentation. Maybe just a quick intro, mate, about you and your business.
Mm-hmm.
Just give us a sort of a 30-second overview of MyCRA Lawyers.
I suppose I started MyCRA Lawyers as MyCRA in 2009. We became a law firm in 2013. Since then, we have been the only specialist credit repair law firm in the entire country. So what that basically means is we can remove judgments, inquiries, defaults, clear-outs, basically any black mark in your credit file, we can remove it for you in as little as 7 days. And independently, externally audited success rate is 91.6%. So we are bloody good at what we do, and we do it pretty quick.
Cool. It's interesting, mate, isn't it? Because one of the things that I've learned from working with you, having you as part of Mastermind, and of course I've known you for, goodness me, I don't know, 15 years or something now. But the thing, mate, is that I guess there's two interesting things. One is where you find clients from, and one of the things we say is, it's amazing what connection you can have, because you and I actually got to know each other because back in the day when Caroline was hairdressing, and back in the day when you needed a hairdresser, then that's how we actually got to meet. But the other thing is, the thing that I've learned in relation to your business, mate, is that it's amazing. When you first started talking about credit repair, I always thought that was going to be people, I'm not being unkind, but people in sort of lower socioeconomic areas who would be dodging creditors. But in fact, that's not the case, is it?
Well, they are an element of the people that need credit repair. However, our client base is more people actually at your level, even at Michael's level and my level, that people that have just, they're time poor, and they might be fly-in, fly-out workers, they might be busy professionals, they can be mums and dads that are a little more cost sensitive. But most of the clients we deal with are those who have just missed a bill, they've changed address. They would have paid the bill had they known they had a bill, number one, or number two, that there were serious ramifications for not paying the bill. a lot of the clients also are those who've had a dispute with their phone company or their power company, and they've said, "Bugger it, I'm not going to pay the bill until we get this sorted." Whereas in fact, that's the wrong thing to do, because you'll get defaulted. You're better off to pay the bill. I hate to say it, better off to pay the bill and then dispute it, but that can often mean you're paying a bill that you don't need to. So our clients are not those lower socioeconomic clients at all.
Yeah, it's just interesting, and you've shown me people who've missed a phone bill, or the other thing is that they've got a phone for one of their kids or something like that, and the kids haven't paid the bill because it counts in their name, so they end up with that debt. All right, mate, let's push into leadership. So what we're talking about today is leadership, and you've run your own business for a very long period of time. You've had various levels of staff, both in terms of size of staff and in terms of quality or ability of staff. If I was to ask you, what are the sort of the top 3 to 5 things that have struck for you as being what makes an effective leader? What would they be?
Well, I suppose I could talk about the things I've done wrong that I've later on seen that I should have done differently, and that is being indecisive. So if indecisiveness is the one thing that makes a poor leader, then being decisive would be the element that makes a better leader. And I've had to learn the lessons the hard way. Mark, if you recall, back in Mortgage Nowadays, I was a little too tough on staff. And then I learnt to be more understanding and more compassionate to staff. And then I went the other way, where I'd never make a bloody decision. And I'd check in all the time for acceptance with the team. And what do you guys think of this? And that's the wrong thing to do. So the first one, I suppose, is being able to be decisive. The second would be, sorry, yes?
No, please go.
Being decisive. Being able to see the future, being able to work out the plan for the business, where the business is going to go. Being someone that your team can look up to and ask questions of. So I suppose being available. Again, I have a structure, I have a system of management in place, but my door is always open, except when it's closed. You know what I mean? Staff can come and talk to me. I prefer they go through the management structure so that I'm not bothered with things that can be handled by somebody else. But if they need to, they know they can come to me. So is that 3? Structure, decisiveness, and planning and future.
Mate, in previous Q&As, we've spoken about the importance of being an open door manager and being available. And I think you've struck a good point there, because you, as a leader, you do actually have to have that open door policy. You do have to make yourself available, and you do have to, but by the same token, you also have to expect that people will go through a process. So you've worked very hard at getting layers of management underneath you so that you work toward that true level 3 business. By the same token, your door has to be open to those layers of managers. But if that system, for whatever reason, isn't working, then people need to be able to know that they can actually go straight to the CEO and have that conversation. I guess the other thing that really strikes me with that, mate, is the evolution you've gone through, and so I mean that's really the purpose of Mastermind too, is that we continue to grow. And I know when you and I first met, I think, and I've shared this story, usually no name is mentioned, so I'm putting Graham on the spot here, guys, but I think that, when you and I very first met, one of the things you said to me was, look, I keep losing, all these staff, and they keep going, I don't know what's wrong with everybody else. And we had to sort of, buy the mirror and shine it on you. But you've evolved, and you, as you said, the pendulum has swung. You've gone from one way right back to the other, and then you're finding that middle ground. So I guess that's an important thing too, is as a leader, you need to find that middle ground. Mate, one of the things that you said to me, and I just mentioned the preamble to this, you had a saying that I really, really liked. And you just said it to me in passing. You weren't sharing it as a piece of wisdom as such, but I actually think it is. And you said to me, well, I'll let you share it, about being right.
Well, I was a bit shy about this, and I was only saying it to my coach because I was checking for whether or not it was right, I suppose. I've said it for a long time, and it is that when I explain something to my team, when I say something to the team or express something, I say, I'm 100% right in what I say until you show me I'm wrong. And then when you show me, I'm happy to accept, because I'm looking for people around me that are better than me, that have a better understanding of a particular area. But someone has to be right. So if I say this, then it's right. If you can show me I'm wrong, well and truly open to it. I don't want to be right, but someone has to be. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that was the really important thing that I got out of it, mate, is that you said to me, I don't want to be right. Somebody has to be. And that's one of the devils of leadership, I suppose, is that somebody has to be right. Somebody has to take a lead. Somebody has to make the decisions. That links into the point you made before about one of the qualities of leadership is being decisive. So I liked what you said, and it really resonated with me. That's what prompted me to get you on board. So let's just recap on that, mate, if I can. It's I'm right because somebody has to be right, but I don't want to be right, and I will be right. Yeah, I'll be right until you can show me that I'm not.
That's right. So I think what that comes down to, and one of the reasons I was worried about it the other day, Mike, when we were chatting about it, was about decisiveness. I want to be right. Sorry, I might say I'm right because this is what the research I've done, this is the opinions I have, this is the information I have available to me today. I wouldn't be making the statement unless I thought I was right. But then I extend the opportunity for somebody to say, well, Graham, the research I've got is this, and it may not be the same, it might be different. Great, I want more research, I want more feedback. Until I'm shown to be wrong, or until I'm shown there's a better way, we'll do it my way. I don't like those old sayings like my way or the highway, but there really has to be a structure in place, there really has to be a system in place, and that's how I've done that, and it seems to work. And thankfully my team are comfortable coming to me and saying, well, Graham, what about this? Or we've seen this. Then we can have an open and frank discussion about it. Sometimes I change my view, sometimes I don't. It depends on the information provided. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes great sense. I guess that's a nice sort of segue into some of the lessons you've learned. And you said before that, you know, you've had to change the way you do things. You've had to be open to learning. But in that process, mate, when you said that, you know, I'm open to hearing other people's views. Do you think that all links into your thought around I have an open door policy? Yes, I have to be decisive because that's the job of the leader. But at the end of the day, I'm also open to other input. And that's kind of that pendulum swinging. And we say we're going to find that happy middle ground between being. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It's, again, we have worked together since, 2005. So it's 13, 14 years or something now. And I do remember that first conversation with Caroline while getting my hair cut. You should talk to my boyfriend. And I did. And 15 years later, 14 years later. But,
and then you spoke to me after that. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And then Caroline stopped being a hairdresser and had to come find a new bloody hairdresser. So I just gave up and cut it all off. So in those days, I had a management style based on the archaic management style of I say it, it's right, no question, nick off. That's what it was. And I was very, very hard on my team, and I was losing good team members because of it. But I thought they were wrong. I thought I was right in everything. I couldn't see that it was me that needed to change. And mate, you did say to me so many times that if we want to change somebody else, we need to change ourselves. And when I finally grasped that, and it took a long time, when I finally grasped that, I then started to look at how I could change, what I needed to change. And, you know, some areas of my life, it's been a bigger challenge than others. And I continue to work on it today. But going from being too hard to being far too lenient, I think did my business more damage. If I can't make a decision, if people can't, for a while there, I probably wasn't a leader. It probably wasn't even a manager. I had gone far too far and I just didn't make a decision. I was not decisive in anything. And then coming back this way, and I think what's actually done it for me, and this is not credit where it's undue, this is definitely where it's due, is actually when you finally convinced me to get off my bum and actually come back in a mastermind after having a few years apart, that it made me realise that even the best, if Michael Yardney needs a coach, I need a coach. It's that simple. If somebody in Michael's position needs a coach, then who the hell am I to say that I don't? And that was a big eye-opener as well. So I'm still finding my my middle ground, and things are working a lot better today than they ever have. So thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. A completely unpaid testimonial. Hey, just on that point, I guess that really comes back to that, finding that middle ground, because when the pendulum swung one way, your business wasn't performing where it should. When it swung back the other way, it actually performed even worse. So
Absolutely.
it is a matter of finding that middle ground. And mate, one of the things that you and I have spoken a lot about is the importance of sharing the journey. And I sort of go on about it ad nauseum, I know. And it's that old adage I always used, if I pull up outside your house in a car and said, let's go for a drive, one of the first questions you'd ask me is, where are we going? And that's something that you've really adopted a lot with your team, is to actually share the journey with them, share the plan, share the future, because you said that one of the qualities you have to have is to be able to predict the future and get to understand where the business is going. Have you seen a greater buy-in from a number of your team members by actually sharing more with them about where the business is going?
I have. I suppose that what I've done to share the journey, where we're heading right now, is I want to multiply our business massively. And it's unheard of in this type of industry. It's probably even unheard of in law in general. It's such a big vision that to get the guys to buy in, I had to break it down and explain where my brain was situated, how I thought this could even possibly be done. And then I invited feedback and invited questions and invited them to raise their objections, I suppose, because if the elephant is in the room and it doesn't get addressed, it's going to stay there and it's going to be negativity. So by allowing them to be more engaged, be more involved, it allows them to buy in. It becomes their vision as well, rather than just something that this bloke's telling them is going to happen. And by sharing my vision, inviting their input, it has worked really, really well. We still don't know how we're going to get to the end goal that I want, but we do know that it is physically possible if we just find that one little key, that one little niche to get us there. It's going to be doable, and everybody believes that.
So cool. The thing about that is you know what the direction is, so you've told them and you've shared that direction. You're now sharing part of the journey, and you're just trying to work out, what are the tweaks we need to make to find that perfect roadmap, if you like. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's just throw it over to some questions. Guys, as always, the whole idea of the Q&A is for me to share with you some of the things that we've learned during the week, and what prompted me to bring Graham on was the very conversation that he had with me only a couple of days ago, when he said, I don't want to be right, but I have to be right because somebody does. As the leader, somebody needs to be right, and I'm right until somebody can show that I'm not. Have you guys got any questions? Can I do two things, please? Can I ask you to type in a question, just put Q in front of it if you have a question. If you don't, just pop into the chat box. If I can get two or three of you to pop into the chat box for me and let me know what's been most useful out of the conversation we've had with Graham this morning. So what's a great takeaway for you? What's an aha moment? Or just what's been most useful out of the conversation with Graham thus far? If you can pop that into the chat box for me. Yeah, you're 100% right, Caroline. Graham's goals will... are you getting those chats up on your screen, mate?
I am now that I press the button to show me chats, yeah.
Cool.
I'm a novice.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. We'll get you sorted. So we'll just get you to pop into the chat box for me and just let me know. There's a delay, Graham, by the way.
Yeah. Can I address what Kate has just said, that you don't need to be right all the time?
Please do.
Kate, I actually had a challenge with that, not from being a control freak or anything like that. In fact, Mark, you said it's not about being in control, it's about having controls. And I suppose that is what helped me significantly recently. Putting those controls in place, I can work with the exception rule, so I only find out about things that are going wrong that need my attention, rather than having to be in control of everything every step of the way. But not having to be right all the time is... I've lost my train of thought. There you go. I've completely lost my train of thought.
That's fine. I think, mate, the point is that where you don't have to be right all the time is if you have those controls in place. So not being right all the time, and it's sort of, being right until somebody else can show you otherwise, is the difference between being in control and having controls. So I think that's sort of where you were going with that, and it's 100% correct. Hey, Michael, good to see you, mate. I know it's sort of 4 a.m. over there, so really appreciate you jumping up and being online with us. Yeah, so you'll see there, Graham, Michael's spoken about sharing the journey. The thing is this: you can't expect people to engage, and you would have heard it, Graham, and as a coach I hear it all the time. People say, how do I get my people to be more engaged? How do I get them to feel like they're a part of the business and it's not just a job and all those things? Well, if you don't share the process with them, you're never going to get them engaged. If they don't know where they're going, then you're never going to get them there.
Absolutely. One of the things I think I was heading up to before as well with Kate's, you don't need to be right all the time, is getting the right people on the bus. I don't want to be right all the time. I want good people in my team that know more about their area of expertise than I do. Having controls in place, as you were saying before, Mark, means that they are free to do their job the way they know how to do their job. They can report back to me, so the controls mean I don't need control or to be in control. And I don't have to be right because I've got a team of experts around me that know so much more about their area than I ever need to.
It's a really good point, because the point you made before is that you want to have people smarter than you, and it's something that we say all the time. If you're the smartest person in your team, then you're in the wrong team. But I guess for you, this is the really interesting thing. So, guys, Graham is the CEO of My CRA Lawyers, but he's actually not a lawyer. So that's a great example. We'll come back to that, Joe. But that's a great example where you actually have to have people around you with superior knowledge. Now, could those lawyers run the business? Probably not. Could you do the work that they do? Well, you're a long way through a law degree, so you could. But the reality is they have more superior knowledge than you in a particular area. And so you're surrounding yourself with those people who in some places, in some aspects, are smarter than you about what they do. And that's
in a lot of areas, Mark, you know how to run a business better than I do. So you're my business coach. Patrick, my legal practitioner director, he knows how to be a lawyer better than I. Well, he's got 28 years experience as a lawyer. So he runs the law side of the business. Christina is better at being an office manager than I am with the day-to-day minutiae. So she runs that part of the business. I don't want to do all of that. I actually want to be a business owner where I'm going to nick off somewhere and have a holiday and know that the business will probably be in a better position when I come back. That's exactly what I want to do.
And that's exactly what we're working toward. Hey, Joe's asked a really good question there, Graham. So how do you approach team members to open up? So, Joe, I'm presuming you mean how do you approach them to share with you what's going on for them? Or, Graham, so maybe, Graham, the question, if I could just use a little bit of poetic license, how do you get people to open up is to get them to feel comfortable. How do you get them to feel comfortable?
Be genuine, I suppose. I admit my mistakes every time I make a mistake. I admit my failings. We've just moved to a new office. To be brutally honest with everybody, I was in a previous office that I didn't like. I was there for 13 years because it was cheap and we never had clients coming to see us. What I failed to see, though, was the impact it had on staff. So we've now moved to a much nicer office. And I said to the team when we moved that let's have some new standards. Let's put some new standards in place. We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. And what these standards are is the new minimums that we'll accept. And the team agreed that, hey, this is a really nice idea. So then what I've allowed them to do is allow them to implement those standards themselves. So it gives them a sense of ownership. It gives them a sense of belonging. And then to always be available and to be approachable, because I admit where I'm wrong, because I show that I want their input. It gives more of a sense of community, more a sense of, I hate to say it almost sounds wanky in this industry, but to be a sense of family. And we'll get on really good. Sometimes we're far too relaxed in our phraseology and things we say, and we might have to be careful about saying the wrong thing. So we have rules about swearing. Like in our office, we're a law firm, but we're allowed to swear. We say whatever we like, as long as we don't swear at anybody or swear where somebody who may find it inappropriate, a client or a telephone call, can hear it. So we don't mind if someone drops the F-bomb in the office as long as it's not in an inappropriate setting, if that makes any sense. And that level of involvement just makes life more comfortable.
So, yeah, I think, Joe, the big takeaway for me with that answer from Graham, and thank you, mate, is it's about being genuine and having integrity. And one of the things that Graham entered some business awards once, and he said to me, I'm being interviewed, will you come across for the interview? And I said, no, mate, he said, well, how do I answer the question? I said, just be yourself. And the response that you got from the judges was, hey, the thing we really loved about interviewing you is you're just absolutely genuine and lots of integrity. And it was very clear. So authenticity. So, Joe, open door policy, show authentic, and show them that you are open to those conversations. The other thing I always find is sharing some of your own vulnerability often makes people feel a lot more comfortable to share theirs. So letting people know that there's something about you, being more open about sharing about you. And as you say, Graham, admitting when you get things wrong is one of the really cool steps to getting people to go, Joe is human after all, and he's just a really nice guy. And Joe, we know that. He's just a really nice guy, and I can feel comfortable to open up to him. Mm-hmm. Okay, Ken's asked the question, is inspiring the imagination more critical than knowing the steps to get there? Oh, good question, Ken.
I'd say so. Steps will unveil themselves as you progress. If you, in my humble opinion, if you can get the grand vision out there, if you can get the big picture so people can buy into the big picture, in my case at least, I don't know the steps to get there, because there are so many little tiny roadblocks in place that I need my office manager, I need my sales director, I need my legal practitioner director to help fill in the gaps. But they wouldn't know what gaps to fill in if I didn't, in your words, inspire the imagination or give them the grand picture before we started. So I think you're spot on.
I couldn't agree more. Build it and they will come. To get them on board, you've got to get them excited. To get them excited, you've got to get that inspiration. They've got to see that you're keen, that you're excited, that you're pumped up about it, and that there is this vision there. And once they see the vision, they'll follow you. But if you get bogged down in the tedium and show fear at moving to the next step because you don't actually have 100% set up on this step, we know we've got to get the detail right in the background. I was saying before you came on, Graham, that one of the qualities of a good leader is to actually be able to get their hands dirty and get into the detail of things. But if you get bogged down in that detail, it's what I call drowning in the shallows. And something I see leaders do quite a lot is they drown in the shallows, and so they never actually get into the deep water. They never get into the good fun stuff because they just find themselves drowning in at the shallow end.
Mark, if I can just throw something else in there too, that I don't know whether this is a good trait or a bad trait, and people can tell me what they think, but I still do things today that I expect the others to do. Like, I still wash up. Yes, we have a dishwasher and we have a cleaner and all that sort of stuff, but I get in if there's dirty dishes in the sink in the kitchenette, I'll get in there and clean up. So the reason I say that I don't know if I'm doing the wrong thing is my time is valuable. I understand that. But sometimes I do things with my time that I could easily pay other people to do, but I don't mind doing it anyway. I'm installing, as soon as this session finishes, I'm installing a water filter system in our kitchenette because the landlord hasn't got time yet. He said he can do it next week. I want clean water for my team. For me, it's drilling one hole and plugging some pipes in. It's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to get in there, take my jacket off, and actually install the water filter system. I get in and vacuum when I get to the office in the morning. Again, not because I need to vacuum, but if I see something on the floor, I'll pick it up. That's what I'm trying to instill in others, that if it's the old saying, I think you said to me years ago, Mark, the fish smells from the head down. If I'm too lazy to get off my butt and do something to clean the office, how the heck can I expect anybody else to? So if I show that I'm okay with that, because I have to clean the floor at home as well, then hopefully that'll inspire others to realise that it's something that everybody can and should get in and do.
Yeah, mate, I think there's three things there. Number one is that what you walk past is what you accept. So, I was out talking to Mark Beach, who's the MD of Barton's. He's got 300 odd staff. When he walks across, it's a car dealership. When he walks across the yard, he doesn't see a piece of paper or a piece of rubbish there, get on the phone and ring the janitor to come and pick it up. He picks it up as he goes past. So number one, what you walk past is what you accept. Number two, it's about leading by example. And I think number three is the other thing, is that it's okay to do those things. You know, I often say, when I used to walk into a business, one of the questions I'd ask is, if the photocopier breaks, who do you talk to? And if the answer is the CEO, then we've got real issues. I think it's okay to do those things because, A, you want to, from time to time, because you like it, because you take pride, etc. It's another thing to do it because you want to be in control. So if you were vacuuming because you thought nobody else could possibly vacuum as well as you, I'd be worried. But if you're vacuuming because you get in, hey, I'm in early, place looks dirty, I want to have the place looking clean for my team, I have no issue with that. So, yeah, I agree. And obviously, thanks, Greg. All right, guys, that's where we're at. Graham, thanks for your time today, mate. And I apologise I was just saying before when you were coming on that we ran a dummy test this morning at 1:45, and it worked brilliantly. And it turns out the only dummy was right here because I gave you the wrong webinar, put you on to next week's webinar instead. Let me just leave you with this little slide, and I wonder what it is that we read. And I know, Graham, you've seen this before. And I wonder what's the first thing you read, and we can't get you to say that because you'd actually only be typing it in. But it's amazing the number of people I show this to and say, what do you see? And they go, oh, opportunity is nowhere, as opposed to opportunity is now here. Mm-hmm. So it's all about your perspective. Opportunity is now here. So, mate, fantastic. Thank you for your time today. That was awesome. I really appreciate it. Guys, I hope you like the idea of having somebody else in the hot seat. We're going to do a lot more of that, so you're not just hearing from me all the time. And, mate, thank you very much for giving up your time.
They were far too easy, mate. I expected some hard questions.
No. Well, you know it. You know most of it. So for me, it was about digging into what it is that you do and helping everybody else online to hear from it. Hey, before we wrap up, really important thing. Harry, are you still online? If you just pop on and let me know that you're still there. Happy birthday, Harry. I understand today's a special day for you, mate. So happy birthday. And I'm sure everybody else in Mastermind wishes you a happy birthday. Looks forward to catching up with you in Melbourne in November. And just that final reminder, it's only a month and a bit away now, guys. Super excited about it. Got lots of stuff happening. So looking forward to seeing you all there. And thank you for thanking Graham. It's been good stuff. Mate, good to see you. We'll catch up and have a beer soon, hey?
Indeed, we will. Thanks, mate. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care. Please have a great weekend. If you're in Sydney or if you're in New South Wales or Queensland, have a great long weekend. If you're following the footy, the real footy, the NRL, then go the Raiders. And otherwise, please, whatever you do on the weekend, make sure you spend time with those who matter most. At the end of the day, that's why we do what we do. Thanks, guys. See you next week. See you, Graham.